a full view of you. Professor Matin Saab, Abdul Matin, is a retired professor of sociology in Aligarh Muslim University, and he had a illustrious career. You know, he did his MPhil from Delhi University. दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी में एडमिशन होना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है, नेशनल कंपटीशन के बाद एडमिशन मिलता है. Then he got a fellowship from Indian government to do his PhD, Commonwealth Fellowship, and he studied and he completed his PhD in University of Toronto, Canada. Then he returned back to India after his PhD, and we were lucky to have him in Aligarh Muslim University as a colleague in the Faculty of Social Sciences. ये शायद 1987 में आए थे.
1990. I was supposed to join in 1989, but it was 1990.
Okay. 1990 में आए, 1989 में ज्वाइन करना था इनको. उस जमाने में 1990 में जब ये आए, he came with a laptop. हम लोग सुने ही नहीं थे लैपटॉप, सुन रखा था, देखा नहीं था. तो पूरे यूनिवर्सिटी कैंपस में चर्चा हुई कि भाई एक प्रोफेसर साहब ज्वाइन हुए हैं, कनाडा से आए हैं, उनके पास लैपटॉप है. वी हैड हर्ड अबाउट डेस्कटॉप. लैपटॉप was not easily available in India. He was also director of a Center for Inclusion Exclusion Studies at Maulana Azad University. ये जो inclusive education जो topic है इनका आज, in which he will be speaking about how higher education should be accessible to all sections of the society. Nobody should be excluded on the basis of income, caste, color, creed, or backward class, minority class. तो इन सारी चीजों पे जो इंक्लूसिव एजुकेशन आजकल NEP 2020 का मोटू है, तो ऑन दिस थीम I had requested Professor Matin Saab to address you and share his thoughts, ideas. Like me, he is also, visiting professor in University of Science and Technology, Meghalaya. कभी कभी हम लोग विजिट करते हैं वहाँ पर. This is a private university. We are colleagues in Meghalaya also. क्योंकि आजकल मेघालय बड़ा चर्चा में है हनीमून मर्डर की वजह से. तो हमारा ऐसा कोई हिस्ट्री नहीं है, हमारी खतरनाक हिस्ट्री हमारी नहीं है. हम जो है कलम से वार करते हैं. हमारी तलवार जो है कलम है और जुबान है. हम बोलते हैं, लिखते हैं, पढ़ते हैं. That is our strategy to further the cause of education. Without wasting much time, friends, I will request Professor Matin Saab to share his thoughts. Matin Saab, keep 20 minutes at the end for question answers. That is, you can speak up to 10 past 10. हमें पता है कि भाई जब टीचर बोलते हैं तो उनको रोकना बड़ा मुश्किल है. But I am sure you will speak for 1 hour 10 minutes and then devote 20 minutes for question answer. Thank you, Professor Matin Saab. Now the floor is yours.
Thank you, Professor Vijapur Sahab, Dr. Faiza Basi, for your kind invitation to me to share my views on artificial intelligence and inclusive education. चूंकि अभी विजापुर साहब ने कुछ यादें ताज़ा कर दी, तो मैं जब 1983 में यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टोरंटो कैंपस में गया, मैं कैंपस में ही रहता था, तो वो पूरा कैंपस डिजिटल रिसोर्सेज से भरा पड़ा था। मिड 1980s में जब हमारे मुल्क में सुपर कंप्यूटर नहीं था, अमेरिका से मांगा, अमेरिका ने मना कर दिया, तो फिर हम लोगों ने खुद बनाया। उस वक्त यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टोरंटो में एक सुपर कंप्यूटर था। जाहिर है कि स्टूडेंट्स और फैकल्टीज वो 50% ही यूज करते थे, 50% गवर्नमेंट ऑफ ओंटारियो को बेच दिया जाता था सुपर कंप्यूटर यूज करने के लिए। तो मैं देख के काफी, वो जो एक एक्सपीरियंस है, मेरा जो एक एक्सपोजर रहा उसको यूज करने का अपने रिसर्च के पर्पस के लिए और फिर डिस्कशन लोगों से, तो शायद वो एक बेस था मेरे रिसर्च बैकग्राउंड का, जिसकी वजह से मैं मेरा जो बैकग्राउंड वो सोशियोलॉजी का है। मेरा जो पीएचडी सुपरवाइजर थे वो मैथमेटिक्स के थे, और मेरे पीएचडी का सुपरवाइजर जो मैथमेटिक्स के प्रोफेसर थे यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ टोरंटो में, उनके सुपरवाइजर इकोनॉमिक्स के थे, जो नोबेल लॉरेट थे, केनेथ एरो। तो आज जो हम एनईपी 2020 की बात करते हैं, जिसमें मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी की बात करते हैं, ये तो कई दशक हो गए इस तरह की जो करिकुलम है या जो चीजों को समझने में जो एक जटिलता है, कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी है, उसको समझने के लिए एक इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच की जरूरत है, जिसको नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी 2020 और एबीसी 2021 में दर्शाया गया। तो आज जो मैं चर्चा करना चाहूंगा, मैंने एक पीपीटी भी भेजा है विजयपुर साहब, अगर वो हो सके तो।
हाँ, उसको हम शेयर करते हैं, सब लोगों को शेयर करते हैं।
हाँ, तो
और वन रिक्वेस्ट, यू हैव टू बी बाइलिंगुअल बिकॉज देयर आर सम साउथ इंडियंस आल्सो।
yes, yeah, okay,
Be
yeah.
both bilingual, Hindi and
No,
English.
yeah, okay. English or Jinglish, whatever. I will definitely do that. So absolutely not a problem. So my encounters and experiences as a research student at the University of Toronto shaped my interest in what I call digital sociology. And digital sociology is primarily a kind of multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary approach. I think that, in every discipline, whether science or social science, whether it is physics or art and literature, one important event which reshaped is something called, French Revolution. Actually, there is a precedence: first Renaissance, then French Revolution, then Industrial Revolution. So these three well-connected events reshaped the history of academics and curriculum, the whole education system as such. We did have education system prior to that, and we are having education after so-called Industrial Revolution. But if you compare the curriculum, if you compare the way to study the problems under investigation, either in physics or in art and literature, that historical event had a very great impact, almost a paradigm shift. That is one point, and we all know, either you are in political science or in history or in economics, or in any subject you study, you know that how that event is important. What is something important from my point of view is that, like Industrial Revolution preceding Renaissance and French Revolution, there is something called digital revolution, quote unquote. And digital revolution has happened, exact date is difficult to assign, but mid 20th century. If you go through the computer generation, then first computer generation, that is vacuum tubes. No, this is a background. I will come to the topic. But this is the background in which I am sharing my views, which is artificial intelligence and inclusive education. I'm coming to that, but please bear with me about the background in which my views on AI and inclusive education should be understood. That contextualization of my views on AI and inclusive education. So digital revolution, which is basically of mid 20th century, and many of you are well versed with first generation computer to fifth generation computer. First generation computer, which was calculated by vacuum tubes, and then there was a paradigm shift in the second generation computer because transistors replaced vacuum tubes. As a result, the power consumption and the speed for processing information substantially changed. But then another miracle happened in the third computer generation, and again it was a paradigm shift, where from transistors to ICs, what you call integrated circuit, and that integrated circuit revolutionized everything. And subsequent computer generations from IC to very large integrated circuits to very, very large integrated circuits. And eventually, in the fifth generation of computers, there was a paradigm shift again, and that was AI, artificial intelligence. So that is the history. We all know about it. So now, how that technological advancement has reshaped the economy, the polity, the society, including the education system. I mean, please don't misunderstand me that I'm advocating for AI. That is not the case. But then whenever there is a technological change, that is impacting the society, positively or negatively. So the point is that we have to accept the technological changes. Now, technological changes has been in the human history since time immemorial. If you go back 50,000 years back, then the fire as a technology and how that changed everything. Then technological change, that's a railway engine, how that affected the transportation system. And but there's a difference between, I think that डॉक्टर इश्तियाक,
इनको म्यूट कर रहा हूं मैंने म्यूट कर दिया मतीन साहब.
अच्छा, नो प्रॉब्लम.
आई एम सिटिंग, मैं behind the scene बैठा हुआ हूँ.
Oh, so kind of you.
And friends, we request all of you to mute your mic. जब आप क्वेश्चन आंसर होगा तभी आप अपना माइक ऑन करेंगे. Thank you. Please continue.
Yeah. Thank you. So how this technology, so the fundamental difference between um, railways and so-called the new technology, which is called everyone having in your hand, is this called mobile. The fundamental difference between digital revolution, I mean, mobile is an outcome of digital revolution. Everybody is having. So the embeddedness of the technology, which is very different than railways or other modes of transportation, technological changes have been there. So that is what I have written elsewhere about GPT, general purpose technology. So this is the background. This is the background in which, when we talk about artificial intelligence and inclusive education, this is what we must take into consideration. If you don't contextualize it, then it will be not easy to appreciate what I'm talking about. Okay. So now let me quickly share with you my understanding of, when we talk of inclusive education, what does it imply? And when we talk of artificial intelligence, then how it is connected with education, which is inclusive is in nature. That is what I want to share today in the background, which I already shared with you. So inclusive education policy aims to ensure that all students, regardless of their background or abilities, have access to quality education within the same learning environment. This approach focuses on creating a welcoming and supportive setting where diverse learners can thrive and reach their full potential, quote unquote. So this is how we may understand inclusive education. Now, artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is showing promise in advancing inclusive education by personalizing learning, offering accessibility tools, and providing adaptive learning environments. AI, in short, that is artificial intelligence, can help tailor educational content to individual student needs, offer support for students with disabilities, and translate text into speech, among other benefits. However, ethical considerations and the potential for algorithmic bias need to be addressed to ensure AI truly benefits all learners. So this is how we may consider AI for inclusive education purpose. When we talk of inclusive education, then some of the things which you must pay attention towards is equity and access, and these are in the slides, diversity and inclusion, high quality education, supportive environment, and collaboration. And each self-explanatory core principles needs a bit, discussion. The key components for inclusive education may be adaptations and modifications, specialized support, professional development, accessible infrastructure, and community engagement. So these are the key components for inclusive education. And the benefits of inclusive education: improved learning outcomes, increased social inclusion, preparation for life, and cost effectiveness. Some of the examples of inclusive education policies for India is National Education Policy, that is NEP 2020. Also, its articulation in the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. And also, the Salamanca Settlement and Framework for Action on Special Needs Education 1994, which needs a discussion on all these. And how are some specific examples, we can relate with inclusive education? So physical accessibility, differentiated instruction, individualized education programs, that is IEPs, assistive technology, peer support and collaboration, and finally, I will conclude, but before conclusion, maybe culturally responsive teaching, social emotional learning, collaboration with families and professionals, promoting positive attitudes, and for applications of artificial intelligence for inclusive education in India, in the background which I have already talked about, personalized learning, accessibility for students with disabilities, multilingual education support, teacher augmentation in underserved areas, then challenges of AI-driven inclusive education, digital divide, algorithmic bias and ethical concerns, data privacy and surveillance. And then, of course, what should be the policy framework? These are some of the things which I intend to share with you. And then finally, we will conclude or summarize that, what we want to, what is our understanding of AI and inclusive education. So, as I have outlined, and this you will find it in the PPT, which will maybe displayed or later on that will be shared with you, that on inclusive education policy, this is the outline, and this is what I will try to elaborate as brief as possible because of the time constraint. That when we talk of inclusive education, then core principles are equity and access. And it entails inclusive education strives to provide equal opportunities for all students, removing barriers to participation and learning. On diversity and inclusion, inclusive education policy recognizes and values the unique contributions of all students, including those with disabilities, those from diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds for a country like India, and those with other special needs. On high quality education, inclusive education is not just about physical integration, but also about providing a high quality education tailored to meet the diverse learning needs of all students. For supportive environment, it involves creating a supportive and inclusive school culture or university culture where all students feel a sense of belonging and are encouraged to participate fully. So these are all important components of inclusive education. On collaboration, inclusive education requires collaboration among teachers, parents, administrators, school or university or college administrators, and the wider community to ensure the success of all learners. And then I mentioned about the key components on adaptations and modification. So teachers adapt their teaching methods. We all are teachers. So we teachers have to adapt our teaching methods, teaching materials, and assessments to meet the diverse needs of students. On the notion of specialized support, students may receive specialized support such as individualized education programs, IEPs, or access to assistive technologies to help them succeed. On professional development, teachers and other school staff receive training on inclusive teaching practices and strategies for working with diverse learners. On accessible infrastructure, educational institutions are designed to be physically accessible to all students with appropriate modifications and accommodations. On the issue of community engagement, parents and wider community are involved in supporting inclusive education and promoting a welcoming and inclusive school culture. As far as the benefits of inclusive education is concerned, it entails improved learning outcomes. Inclusive education can lead to better academic and social emotional outcomes for all students. Also, increased social inclusion promotes social inclusion and helps students develop a sense of belonging and respect for diversity. On preparation for life, inclusive education prepares students to participate fully in a diverse society and workforce. On cost effectiveness of inclusive education, it can be cost-effective way to provide quality education to all students. And as I mentioned, that examples of inclusive education policies are articulated in NEP 2020, which focuses on equitable and inclusive education for all students with a strong emphasis on providing support for students with disabilities and other special needs. On the issue of the rights of persons with disabilities Act 2016, it ensures that all students with disabilities have the right to be educated in inclusive settings. I mentioned also about the Salamanca Statement and Framework for Action on Special Needs Education 1994, in which a landmark document emphasized the importance of inclusive education and called for schools to accommodate all students regardless of their needs. Inclusive education means all students, regardless of background or ability, learn together in the same classroom with appropriate supports and modifications to meet diverse needs. Examples include students with disabilities learning alongside their peers with accommodations like assistive technology or modified assignments. Another example is providing culturally responsive teaching that incorporates students' diverse backgrounds and experiences into the curriculum. For example, physical accessibility ensures that the classroom is physically accessible for all students, including those with mobility devices like wheelchairs, by providing ramps, accessible furniture, and spacious pathways. Differentiated instruction implies teachers use a variety of teaching strategies and materials to address different learning styles and needs, such as visual aids, hands-on activities, and varied assessment methods. Individualized education programs, that is IEPs, entails developing and implementing IEPs for students with disabilities, outlining specific goals, accommodations, and supports to help them succeed in the general education classroom. Assistive technology provides students with access to assistive technology such as text-to-speech software, augmentative communication devices, or specialized computer equipment to support their learning. Peer support and collaboration encourage students to work together, learn from each other, provide support to one another, fostering a sense of community and belonging. Culturally responsive teaching incorporates students' diverse cultural backgrounds, languages, and experiences into the curriculum and teaching practices. Social emotional learning explicitly teaching skills such as empathy, conflict resolution, and self-regulation to help all students develop positive relationships and negative social situations. Collaboration with families and professionals implies working closely with parents, caregivers, and other professionals such as special education teachers, therapists, and counselors to ensure students receive comprehensive support. Promoting positive attitudes creates a classroom environment where all students feel valued, respected, and included regardless of their differences. How? Now, these all are about inclusive education. But the fundamental question is how AI supports inclusive education. So, on personalized learning, AI can analyze student data like learning styles, performance, and preferences to create customized learning pathways. This can be particularly helpful for students with learning disabilities or those who need extra support or challenges. Adaptive learning environments, artificial intelligence powered platforms can adjust the difficulty of materials, provide additional support, or offer alternative learning methods based on real-time student responses. Accessibility tools. So artificial intelligence can automatically generate transcripts, translate text, or convert visual content into alternative formats, making learning more accessible for students with sensory or cognitive impairments. Intelligent tutoring systems. Artificial intelligence can offer personalized feedback, answer questions, and identify knowledge gaps, providing students with immediate support and reducing the burden on teachers. On early intervention and identification, artificial intelligence algorithms can analyze data patterns to identify students who may be struggling or at risk of falling behind, allowing for early intervention and support. There are some challenges and considerations for use of artificial intelligence for inclusive education, and some of these are including: number one, algorithmic bias. Artificial intelligence systems can inherit biases present in the data they are trained on, potentially leading to unfair or discriminatory outcomes for certain groups of students. Ethical considerations for artificial intelligence for inclusive education. It is crucial to ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly in education with a focus on human well-being and equity. On teachers' training and support, teachers need to be equipped, with the knowledge and skills to effectively use and integrate artificial intelligence tools into their classrooms. On access and equity, ensure that all students have access to the necessary technology and infrastructure to benefit from AI-powered learning is crucial. So we can say that AI has the potential to significantly enhance education, but it's essential to address the challenges and ensure that AI, artificial intelligence, is used to promote equity and access for all learners. So this is all about inclusive education and also about artificial intelligence for inclusive education. Now, let me share with you that at the global level, how in different parts of the world and different institutions are using artificial intelligence. So I will share about there. I will simply refer 25 case studies of artificial intelligence used for educational institutions. This is what a paper I contributed at the Munjal University in Sociology conference, and it is published also, accepted for publication. So case study number 1, artificial intelligence assistant, and it was used by Georgia Tech, United States of America. The problem was prompt assistance and feedback in large classes. So basically the problem was to artificial intelligence for TA. TA means teaching assistantship. In many countries, European and even in India, in some centers of excellence, TA-ship is used. So this solution was sought from Jill Watson, and the key impact was reduced response times, improved teaching assistantship efficiency, and the outcome was importance of curated data sets and monitoring artificial intelligence. Another case study was accessibility for visually impaired, and this was by the University of Alicante, Spain. The problem was challenges in campus navigation and accessing materials for visually impaired students. And the solution lied in Help Me See app using computer vision. And it enhanced independence and accessibility, and the learning was user-centered design improves inclusivity. Then the third case study is STEM learning. All of you know this STEM in NAP 2020, that is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And the institution used was Newtown High School, Australia. The problem was lack of personalized STEM support due to class sizes. And the solution was Maths Pathway by AI platforms. And the main impact was, by using this AI, improved STEM outcomes and engagement of the students. So AI personalizes learning effectively. That was the learning experience by this case study. Then next one on adaptive learning. I've already discussed about some of these. University of Sydney, Australia. This is the case study from there. The problem was diverse student needs requiring tailored learning and adaptive learning platform. And this is also relevant for Indian context. So the solution was sought through Smart Sparrow, and the key impact was increased engagement, better performance. So the learning from this case study is collaboration between educators and AI is crucial. Then another case study was on language accessibility, and the institution was Harris Federation, UK. And the problem was diverse linguistic needs in classroom. India is also having diverse linguistic needs. Even now, we have some from South, some from North, some from Northeast. So here we have diverse linguistic needs in classroom. So the solution was sought from ChatGPT and Microsoft Live tools for translations. And the key impact of this case study was improved accessibility, reduced teacher workload. And the learning from this case study is AI supports curriculum accessibility. Then on the issue of remote learning, case study number 6, and the institution associated was Oak National Academy, UK. And the problem was improving digital curriculum and reducing teacher workload. And the solution was artificial intelligence for lesson planning and quizzes. So the key impact was teachers saved more than 5 hours per week. So the learning from this case study was hackathons foster AI innovation in education. The 7th case study is focus monitoring, and the institution was Xinhua Xiaoshun Primary School, China. And the problem was detecting student engagement in class. And the solution was AI-powered headbands monitoring focus. And the key impact was enabled real-time teaching adjustments. And the learning outcome was privacy and ethical considerations essential. Another case study was personalized learning. I've already talked about it. And the institution associated for this case study was Ministry of Education, Singapore. And the problem was generic teaching methods and inefficient grading. The solution was automated marking, adaptive learning. And the key impact was personalized learning pathways, which reduced workload. And the learning experience from this case study was collaboration and teacher training vital. 9th case study is special needs education, and various schools in Japan were associated with this case study. And the problem was inclusivity and diverse learning styles. So the solution was artificial intelligence systems like LEAF, L-E-A-F, analyzing engagement data. And the key impact was tailored educational approaches for special needs students. And the learning from this case study was diverse data sets crucial for inclusivity. The 10th case study was on early risk detection. And the institution associated with this case study was Ivy Tech Community College, United States of America. And the problem addressed was early identification of students at risk of failure. And the solution was predictive AI, analyzing early student data. And the key impact was reduced failure rates, improved interventions. And the learning from this case study was timely intervention, critical for student success. The 11th case study was instant feedback, and the institution was Canterbury High School, United Kingdom. The problem was delays in providing feedback for assignments. And the solution was AI system for instant personalized assignment feedback. And the key impact was faster feedback, improved learning outcomes. So the learning experience from this case study was artificial intelligence must complement, not replace human oversight. The next case study was fitness personalization. And this case study was associated with the institution called Sun Valley Primary, located at South Africa. The problem was physical education classes not meeting diverse fitness needs. The solution was artificial intelligence-driven wearable tracking for customized fitness plans. The key impact was inclusive physical education experience and higher motivation. And the learning from this case study was data privacy paramount in personal health data. And the next case study was automated essay grading. And the institution associated with this was Modern School, located in India, in Delhi. Very prestigious school indeed. So the problem was teachers overwhelmed with essay grading. The solution was artificial intelligence for automated essay scoring and feedback. The key impact from this case study was reducing grading workload and faster student feedback. And the learning from this case study from Modern School, Delhi, India, was transparency and periodic artificial intelligence updates are essential. The next case study was on career counseling, and the institution was Santa Monica College, United States of America. And the problem was limited career guidance for large student populations. We are also having this problem in many universities, colleges, and schools. So the solution was AI-driven career counseling system, and the impact was better career alignment, higher job satisfaction. And the learning experience from this case study was artificial intelligence bridges education and career pathways. The next case study was on language learning. India is another example for this. And the institution associated with this case study was Beijing Language and Cultural University, China. The problem was non-native students struggling with language skills. The solution was AI-powered language tool, and the solution was sought through LinguaBot. And the learning experience was improved language skills, greater confidence, real-time interaction boosts language acquisition. For science students especially, the case study on virtual labs and the institution associated with this case study was Technological Institute of Monterrey, Mexico. The problem was limited resources for hands-on STEM learning. Now, NAP 2020 has already introduced and focuses on STEM education. So the solution was AI, artificial intelligence-driven virtual lab platform, and that is virtual lab. Key impact was more experiments, deeper understanding of STEM. And the learning from this case study is artificial intelligence enhances scale and scope of experimental learning. Another case study was on music feedback, and the institution associated with this case study was Juilliard School, United States of America. The problem was limited instructor availability for detailed performance feedback. The solution was sought from artificial intelligence tool music mentor analyzing music performances. The key impact was improved technique and artistry in students, and the learning was human feedback remains irreplaceable for artistic nuances. The next case study was special education support, and this was from institution associated was Toronto District School Board, Canada. The problem was challenges in personalized education for diverse learning needs. The solution was adaptive learning platforms and AI-driven analytics. The key impact was improved engagement and outcomes for special education students. And the learning from this case study was teacher training and ethical data use essential. Next case study entails art critique and insights. And for this, the institution associated were École des Beaux-Arts, France. The problem was limited critique and access to historical art context. The solution was sought from artificial intelligence tutor. The key impact was RT for analyzing student art and historical suggestions, richer understanding of art personalized feedback, and the learning from this case study was AI must enhance creativity, not constrain it. The next case study was on retention analytics. Institution associated with this was University of Melbourne, Australia. The problem was difficulty identifying at-risk students early, and the solution was predictive analytics for real-time intervention. Key impact was reduced dropout rates, improved performance, and the learning from this case study, data integration and transparency critical for success. The next case study was retention insights, and the institution associated was MIT, United States of America. The problem was challenges in monitoring and supporting at-risk students. The solution was artificial intelligence-based predictive analytics system. The key impact was better resource allocation and higher retention. And the learning from this experience, case study, is continuous improvement and ethical use vital. Next, interactive chatbot, and the University of Edinburgh, UK was associated with it. The problem was low engagement in large courses. And the solution was artificial intelligence chatbot for interactive learning and queries resolution. The key impact was higher engagement and course completion rates. And the learning from this case study was balance between artificial intelligence and human interaction is key. Next, academic advice automation. The institution associated with this case study was National University of Singapore, and the problem was inefficiencies in academic advising and course enrollment. The solution was artificial intelligence for automated academic advice and scheduling. The key impact of this case study was improved planning and reduced administrative burden. Learning from this case study was robust security protocols for sensitive data essential. And next, adaptive learning institution associated was Stanford University, United States of America. The problem associated was diverse learning needs in large enrollment courses. Solution was sought from artificial intelligence adaptive platforms, tailoring learning paths. The impact was increased engagement, reduced dropout rates, and the learning from this case study was transparency and privacy in student data critical. And the next case study, that is mental health chatbot, and institution was University of Toronto. I'm alumnus of this university, Canada. The problem was overburdened mental health services. Solution was sought from artificial intelligence chatbot for 24/7 mental health support. Key impact was reduced wait times, improved well-being, and the learning from this case study is ethical consideration in sensitive AI application is critical. So these are some of the case studies using artificial intelligence for inclusive education. So obviously, when we apply artificial intelligence for inclusive education in India, we must take into consideration accessibility for students with disabilities, multilingual education support, teacher augmentation in underserved areas. All these are already discussed. However, there are some challenges using artificial intelligence for inclusive education, and these are: number one, digital divide. Despite expanding digital infrastructure, I will finish it in few minutes. I think I have about 5 minutes, so I'll definitely finish within 5 minutes. Bear with me, and then open for question and answers. So, despite expanding digital infrastructure, disparities in internet access, device availability, and digital literacy persist, particularly among rural, tribal, and economically disadvantaged populations. Artificial intelligence may reinforce rather than reduce inequalities unless these divides are addressed. Another challenge for AI-driven inclusive education is algorithmic bias and ethical concerns. And I have written, even there is one chapter in my book on AI and society, and also one article I have recently submitted to Nature, waiting for the response. So on algorithmic bias and ethical concerns, artificial systems trained on biased data may marginalize minority learners. For instance, facial recognition algorithms have lower accuracy for darker skin tones. In a study by Bonamwini and Gebru in 2018, without ethical oversight, AI risks replicating structural discrimination within education. Another challenge for AI-driven inclusive education is data privacy and surveillance. Artificial intelligence systems in education collect vast amounts of personal data in India, where data protection laws are evolving. There is concern about the surveillance of students, particularly those from marginalized backgrounds without informed consent, acknowledged and mentioned in Niti Aayog, published in 2021. Another challenge to AI-driven inclusive education is policy framework and government initiatives. India's NEP 2020 emphasizes the integration of technology in education while promoting inclusive, equitable learning. The National Digital Education Architecture, NDEAR, and the National AI Strategy, that is Niti Aayog, mentioned in Niti Aayog published in 2018, provide the scaffolding for AI integration. However, specific policies addressing AI's role in inclusive education remain underdeveloped and fragmented. So, few recommendations may be mentioned here. One, develop inclusive AI design standards, mandate inclusive data training sets, and diverse user testing to mitigate algorithmic bias. Public-private partnerships, that is another recommendation. Foster collaborations between governments, tech firms, and civil society to scale AI tools for inclusive education. Third recommendation may be invest in digital infrastructure, expand rural connectivity, provide devices, and train teachers in digital pedagogy. Next recommendation may be establish ethical and regulatory frameworks, ensure data protection, transparency, and accountability in artificial intelligence applications in education. So, to conclude, as time is almost over, AI has the potential to make education in India more inclusive by personalizing learning, supporting learners with disabilities, and bridging linguistic and geographic divides. However, realizing this potential requires intentional design, policy foresight, and robust ethical safeguards. As India moves towards digital transformation in education, the focus must remain on equity, accessibility, and justice to ensure no learner is left behind. Thank you for your kind and patient listening. And this is, I'm really grateful for your patient listening. Thank you very much. Now open for question, observation. Thank you. Please feel free to make your observations, questions, or queries.
Good morning, sir. Assalamu alaikum.
Good morning. Walaikum salam.
Sir, I am Dr. Gulnawaz Usmani. Sir, I just want to know that India is having very diverse linguistic landscape.
Yes.
So how the AI play a role in promoting like multilingualism and inclusive education?
Good question. What is your background? What is your subject?
Sir, I'm from economics background.
Okay, great. My main PhD supervisor, my supervisor
Yes,
came from economics.
I've heard in the introduction part of yours.
Can I answer one by one? That otherwise, I am an old person, so I forget the question. So
one by one is better. One by one.
Forgive me, being an old person, I don't remember. My memory is quite weak. So, because of aging. So, let me respond to the first question first, respond to the first question. I already mentioned about 25 case studies. And in one of those case studies, and it is already published. Initially, I had presented it in a national conference, and then it was published also. And it, say language learning, and this was at Beijing Language and Culture University, China. So non-native students is struggling with language skills. Now here, a lingua bot help. So the point is that earlier we used to have Guruji, and now there is another concept, and I call it Google Guruji. So we have two gurus. Ab kiska pav pagad raha hai wo to that is a different thing, the human being guru or the that AI guru. But the point is that today the many AI chat, like say ChatGPT or other translation AIs can translate from English into Hindi or other language. India is very, very important for, we are multilingual. We have many languages. Even in this small gathering of 200 plus meeting, someone would be very happy with Hindi. Others will feel very uncomfortable with Hindi and they prefer English. Someone may prefer Assamese, others may prefer Bengali, someone may prefer other languages as such. And it is next to impossible for a speaker to speak in one language and translate in all the other languages as such. But then how these AI tools can simultaneously, while the speaker is speaking, can translate those into meaningful language, simultaneously. And it is not a matter of past. Many educational institutions are applying it, are doing it. I refer 25 case studies, and all these 5 case studies are basically application of artificial intelligence for addressing different institutions, including India. And one may say that, like in India, we have no issues, but that is not, like probably we are not using AI. That is not true. Even in educational institutions, some educational institutions have started using AI for different purposes. So suppose we are dealing with the multilingual issue and instruction of teaching, suppose in a class of 100, 120, 200 or 500, because of digital classroom, the number may be thousands, not an issue. And in time to come, it will be possible that the speaker will speak in one language. If I feel comfortable in Hindi, I will speak in Hindi. The listeners does not feel comfortable in Hindi, they can listen in Tamil or in Assamese or in Bengali, blah, blah, blah. So you can think of all languages possible, or in French or in Spanish, or name the language and it is instantly, it is translated. That is the point. So that is why, perhaps from that point of view, AI is not a ban, but it is a boom, I would say. Yeah. I hope that, thank you. Yeah. Next question, please, or observation, or query, whatever. And if you can tell me your subject background, that will help me.
Good morning, sir. Hello, sir.
Please go ahead.
Yes, I am Dr. Shweta, Department of Mathematics, Patna, TPU University. Sir, very nice session, informative. Thanks, Bija sir, too. Sir, my question is related to the topic just. How artificial intelligence is helpful in the educational process of students suffering with ADHD and ASD? Because those students have lack of attention, problem of hyperactivity. So how artificial intelligence is helpful in their education?
Okay, so now AI is a generic term, but then there are different issues in AI. The software may be, like either it may be developed using AI and address those issues. Like if the student is not very attentive in the class, then first of all, if there is a large number of students, different students have different issues. So suppose the students are having a specific problem. So if in a class, we can identify 10 or 20 or 30 problems, and different groups of students may have different problems. Accordingly, using that particular AI, AI for all. Matlab, AI is not for handling only one particular problem. If you read, like I mentioned 25 cases. In these 25 cases, there were different problems identified, and they used AI to handle different kind of problems. So,
Sir,
yeah, please.
sir, I want to know, is there any special tools developed from AI for these students?
Okay, good question. Do I know it? Answer, I don't know. What is my response? My response is that it is possible to address some specific apps to handle these issues, because nothing is impossible.
Yes, sir.
What is possible is that no matter what kind of problem the institution is having, each institution will have to identify the problems and accordingly will opt for those related apps and applications. So the point is that, this has to be, first of all, the institution has to decide that these are the issues which we want to zero in, and accordingly we will opt for use those apps for addressing the issues of the students, where the majority of the students, or for the preferential treatment, whatever those apps they want to use. The point is, today the technology is making it feasible for the educational institution to address these for remedies as such. It is feasible now. Institution has to identify that what will be their focus, and accordingly they can do. So instantly, I am not able to answer your specific question that what specific app can help. But definitely, if I get time, because to be honest, even education is not my major interest. My major interest is AI. And because I have one friend who is from education department. So I am having collaboration with my friend from education department, and her specialization is in experiential learning. So she dragged me towards this education. So that's how I end up writing something on education as such. Even this article, I did it with that. So it is possible to seek answer using AI to resolve the problem which your institution is having. Yes. What exactly that app is, I don't know. I can't answer it that.
देखिए ऐसा है, totally we can't be 100% dependent on AI. There are some issues which needs human feeling, human touch. जैसे आपने दिल्ली में देखा होगा, दिल्ली मेट्रोज आर विदाउट ड्राइवर. अगर आप सारे इंडियन रेलवेज में ड्राइवर को हटा दें तो लोग खिड़कियों से कूद कूद के नीचे गिरने, इन्हें जंप करेंगे. You can't 100% depend on AI to solve all your problems. जैसा जब हम इंग्लैंड चले गए तो एक टेस्ट हुआ, आपकी प्रोफिशिएंसी कैसी है, व्हाट इज योर प्रोफिशिएंसी इन इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज, बिकॉज आई हैड नॉट पास्ड TOEFL examination. So in the test which they conducted, I cleared, I got the minimum marks, and those who could not get the minimum marks in English, if their grammar was weak and all, admission cannot be cancelled of such students. But remedial classes will be held. Extra classes students have to attend for improving their English. For example, I had a friend from Sri Lanka who was also on a British government scholarship. In April, he was told he was doing MA in economics. He was a teacher candidate. In April, he was told, don't write your dissertation because you have failed in the examination. देखिए वो क्या करते हैं, अगर कमजोर भी बंदा है, if you have failed in the examination, MA examination, they will give you post-graduate diploma in economics. ब्रिटिशर्स बड़े स्मार्ट लोग हैं. अच्छा, हमारे अलीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी में कई लोगों के पास पीजी डिप्लोमा इन पर्टिकुलर सब्जेक्ट था, कुछ फैकल्टी मेंबर्स के पास. आई वाज वंडरिंग व्हाई दे वेंट टू इंग्लैंड टू डू डिप्लोमा. वहां जाने के बाद मुझे पता चला कि जो डिप्लोमा है वो फेल्योर है. वहां के जो लोग एमए में फेल हो जाते हैं तो दे आर गिवन पीजी डिप्लोमा, and next year he was asked to do MA economics. Very rigorous, very difficult courses in England. So human touch is needed. What I'm trying to say is you have to maintain balance. There are certain issues. अभी आप इंडियन रेलवेज में देखा होगा, disabled persons का जो डिब्बा है, the bogie and the compartment reserved for disabled persons is at the end of the train. वहां पे ना चाय मिलती है, ना कोई हॉकर जाता है. एंड अगर वो लोग कहीं पानी लेने के लिए जाएं, पैसेंजर्स चाय लेने के लिए जाएं, अच्छा दौड़ भी नहीं सकते हैं. You have to have human touch to such issues. Unless you do that, I don't think you will be able to solve all the problems. मेरा कहना यही है, कंक्लूजन यही है कि don't depend 100% on AI only. Otherwise आपका थिंकिंग, आपका माइंड थिंक करना छोड़ देगा. You will not become thinker, you will become non-thinker. So that is why there has to be some balance. I was very happy that so many case studies were dealt with by Professor Matin साहब in this class. मैं खत्म करता हूँ, एक फिर आपके क्वेश्चन आंसर्स लिए जाएंगे. एक यूरोप में एक केस आया था. वो केस ये था, कोर्ट को चला गया एक बंदा जो ब्लाइंड बंदा. उसने कहा कि भाई मैं जब एटीएम से पैसे निकालने जाता हूँ तो वहां पे ब्रेल का स्क्रिप्ट नहीं है. कैन यू इमेजिन? वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग केस केम. इंडिया में अभी तक कोई ब्लाइंड आदमी ने कोई शिकायत नहीं की या कंप्लेंट नहीं लाए कि साहब मैं एटीएम कार्ड नहीं यूज कर सकता हूं क्योंकि ब्रेल का स्क्रिप्ट वहां पे डिजिटली अवेलेबल नहीं है. So many issues are there. Okay, next questions. I should not waste time. It has to be an interactive session.
I am Dr. Prof.
Just a sec, in order to, my friend Professor Vijapur made very interesting observation. And so I am with a friend of mine from mathematics department, USTM, writing on what Professor Vijapur mentioned, those issues. I'm in full agreement with him. And in artificial intelligence, there is something called ethical algorithm. And in ethical algorithm is quite old thing, but ethical algorithm. So this is something which needs to be addressed, and I mentioned in my deliberations that how ethical algorithm is very important. And with a friend of mine from mathematics, just we have submitted one on ethical algorithm in Nature. Nature is a very prestigious journal, and it's a bit difficult to get published, but let us see, let us wait. At the most, they will reject it. So yes, I fully agree with you. But then one quick observation, Professor, my friend Vijapur, there was a time when the king had to travel, say Akbar had to travel from Delhi to Guwahati. I'm sorry, I'm very fond of using this example. Then Akbar or Ashoka used to travel by elephant or by horse. Today's Ashoka and Akbar, the Prime Minister or the President of India, wants to travel from Delhi to Guwahati. What will be their choice? A, elephant, B, horse, C, Belgari, and D, airways. Now the philosophical question is that, is there a way to reverse the gear of the technology? Easy to say. I'm not in favor of AI. It has many negative side effects. And that is why, my main interest in AI is not AI, but on ethical algorithm. And in my book on AI and society, I have written one chapter on ethical algorithm and one article with the help of my friends from mathematics application, because it's a bit complicated one. I have written, and I've been thinking on it. But at the same time, I don't have an answer. I think, some of you can answer. You are the young generation. That is there a way to reverse the gear of technology? So the technology needs to be used cautiously. That is not a problem. But then is there a way to reject the technology as such? And mind it.
देखिए आजकल के जमाने में अगर आप हमारे 200 पार्टिसिपेंट्स को कहें कि बगैर मोबाइल बगैर लैपटॉप के रहें तो दे विल गो मैड. Technology has become part of our life.
Yes.
Yeah. Continue.
So, yeah, please, next question, please. Yeah.
Sir, I am Dr. Pranita. I am from Zoology Department, City College, Kolkata. So my question is that this inclusive education is only helpful for disabled students, or normal student will also be helpful from this?
When we talk, good question. The point is that when it comes to quality education entails not one but many things, including disabled. So and we have different kinds of disabilities. My main argument is that how AI may be used in addressing to overcome those deficiencies in a relatively better way. That is the point I'm arguing. So disability, yes, and I have mentioned in the case study, I have mentioned also about specifically the disability case. So there may be many types. So artificial intelligence may be helpful in addressing, overcoming those deficiencies. That is the point. Does it answer your question from zoology?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, sir. I am Muhammad Abu Shahid from law subject. And my question is that we are here talking about use of AI for inclusive education. We see that AI tools are very costly, and most of them are developed by the developed nations. If they are used in India, they will collect our data and they will design their own product, and they may not be concerned with our own need. They may be concerned with their own profit as well. So in that context, whether Government of India or Ministry of HRD or UGC is taking a step to innovate tools, AI tools for that purpose. Thank you, sir, for the question.
Yeah, thank you for good observation. Now, if you either Bill Gates or Elon Musk, these guys are basically, they are working for profit. Absolutely no disagreement on it. But the point is, I would argue that if you have a comparative study of United States of America at the one hand and China on the other hand, and if you see that how to maximize their profit, because it's a question of supremacy, that how the technology is empowering to become a superpower. So the point is that what should we do? Should we be lagging behind? Yes, it is costly, absolutely no doubt about it. Interestingly, yes, it is true that developed countries, if you say one company is having $3 trillion one investment in making the microprocessor. And our country, the whole country's economy is going to be about 5 trillion. And in US, there is only one company investing 3 trillion for making some hardware products and such. So what is the way out? Should we refrain from artificial intelligence and let's go to Himalayas and do meditation and live in those, the way our ancestors 5,000 years back lived? What is the way out? So that is obviously the country has to decide as a matter of policy. So if we have United States of American model at the one hand, and we compare Chinese
उल्टा 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 हम टूट जेते सीधा तो दिक्कत करे
any observation somebody is making?
सतने को चार गो आर ओकरा गोलका के ताऊ ने रखो बाद में सोच करबे और सही सब ध्यान दे
I could not get it. Can someone paraphrase it?
Any other person has unmuted unnecessarily. He's not involved in discussion, I think, sir.
Okay. So this Mr. Shahid, from law, your question entails a comparative study of Chinese model and US model at the one hand. Second hand is that technology is basically profit driven and war driven. Precision in winning the war, that is what is technology eventually it comes to. I doubt we could have had AI technology without space and war. So the point is, and that is a harsh reality, irrespective of our likings and dislikings, we have to accept it. So the domination of the country will depend upon who is controlling the space technology and war technology in the name of AI. And recent developments in Iran-Israel war conflict, one can see that how technology and AI is important as such. I mean, so yes, no one can deny the profit motive behind these technological advances. So who is having the resources? Now you just see that how this rare earth material REM has created such a big problem for a country like even Europe or many countries in Europe, India, and many parts of the world. So yes, I don't know to what extent I have addressed the observation of Mr. Shahid. So
Sir, my question is taken by the government of India because public funding is required many research in area done by the public funded, and then private persons come to play. So in that regard, public funding can be very important in this.
I'm sorry, would you repeat it? Because you are not audible. Would you repeat the question, please? Please repeat, short.
My question, sir, is that public funding is required in an area where private funders are not coming, and it is done in medicine and every other area. So why not government of India is taking a step to initiate in AI tool developments?
That's a good question. That if you examine the planning since its inception, then what were the sectors in which there were public investment vis-a-vis private investment? And I had written a paper at one point as in economics department, doing a course, that there were massive investment by the public investment, and the beneficiaries were, some of the beneficiaries were even the private investors as such. So the point is that any critical area, for any critical area, public investment is quite crucial. And for that, there has to be, public opinion needs to be, there should be some consensus about it. There should be some pressure in resource allocation for planning as such. So unfortunately, for planning in India, the resource allocation sometimes may not be very satisfactory. So there has to be some public opinion, influencing the resource allocation. Yes, I would fully agree with you. And
Thank you.
as a matter of fact, Government of India is doing. One of the examples is rare earth materials. And now when we are having problem with China, we have already started doing it. But then there should be more investment in this area with more from public and also private and also PPP, all the three. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any more questions or?
Friends,
with
yeah,
your
somebody is-
permission, Professor Vijayapur, just one quick observation. Jeffrey Hinton, he is professor emeritus at the University of Toronto. His background is psychology from Oxford, and then he became professor of computer science at the University of Toronto, and he got Nobel Prize in physics. So from psychology to computer science to physics. Very interesting academic career. Jeffrey Hinton, he for few years worked with Google. And he realized that there is some problem. And mind it, Jeffrey Hinton is considered father of artificial intelligence. So Hinton is considered father of AI. And father of AI left Google because, in spite of the fact that he played crucial role in ML, artificial intelligence we cannot understand without understanding ML, machine language. And Jeffrey Hinton made a great contribution in ML. It's a long story. So he lately realized that this ethical considerations are very important. On that ground, he quit the job of Google and came back to University of Toronto. And now he is a professor emeritus. So if we listen Jeffrey Hinton, then Professor Vijayapur's observation, many the answers of Professor Vijayapur's concern is with Jeffrey Hinton, in spite of the fact that he is the father of AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Matin Saab. You have illustrated very well this very difficult and important topic. Use of AI for inclusive education. देखिए, एजुकेशन सिर्फ स्कूल कॉलेज यूनिवर्सिटी में नहीं होती है. In every walk of life, like as I give the example, how a blind fellow can withdraw money from ATM. क्या वहां पे आप ब्रेल का स्क्रिप्ट भी प्रोवाइड करेंगे? These are some of the issues, and we were enlightened with those case studies, क्योंकि कई तरह के केसेस इन्होंने यूनिवर्सिटीज के बताए, उससे हमें बड़ा फायदा हुआ. एंड वी ऑल कैन लर्न. बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन मोहम्मद अबू शाहिद साहब ने रेज किया. फंडिंग, पैसा, गवर्नमेंट हैज टू इन्वेस्ट मनी ऑन दीज प्रोजेक्ट्स, लेकिन हमारे यहाँ पैसा तो देते हैं. यूजीसी गिव्स लॉट ऑफ मनी टू प्रोजेक्ट प्रोफेसर्स टू कैरी ऑन द प्रोजेक्ट्स, लेकिन accountability is not there. Accountability, I mean, there are some professional teachers, one after the other they apply for the projects and they take money. And I think every teacher should be given 1 or 2 projects in their lifetime by UGC or by any other funding agency. Tabhi, that inclusiveness can be ensured. Every teacher, why only a few, why only university teachers should be given projects? Why not college teachers? Some of the autonomous colleges are very, making great contribution. Friends, we had a wonderful session. we exceeded by 10 minutes. That means we were very successful. Now, if Muhammad Abu Shahid is around, Muhammad Abu Shahid, are you around? Can you propose vote of thanks to our wonderful professor? Muhammad Abu Shahid, he will propose vote of thanks. Please unmute कीजिए.
Yes, sir, I'm here. And first, thank to the sir, Matin sir. He has been my teacher. He may not be remembering, but I was there in his classes. We were in law department earlier. In fact, in 1998 batch, I was there. So maybe we were very much engaged in class discussion, and that was very useful for our life. And that way we started when we became teacher, we also started that interactive classes. So that learning came from, and I cannot say the word how to oblige you. And second thing is that this lecture in fact has brought up a new area where we have to see that inclusive education is in fact given to all in term of technology also. And that respect, this lecture has been wonderful for us. And second, I will also thankful to the Vijayapuri sir, bringing the enlightened and depth researcher in the area for our own this class, for this class purposes. So thanks to all the participants. Also, they have been listening carefully. Intense. There has been also intense debate and discussion also among the student when question hour is there also. So
Thank you.
I will thank all the people present here. With this, thanks from my side.
थैंक यू ये बताने के लिए कि मतीन साहब आपके टीचर रहे हैं. देखिए